Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to F1 Manager. This is episode 85. Next up is Singapore. We've got almost 3 weeks till that race comes, but we don't have any big upgrades coming for the car. We've already turned to research as we're in the later part of the season. We do have a point for Porsche, and we're going to continue to work on getting control high. I want to get everything up to an 85 here as well so we have better pace, but getting the consistency and getting the mistakes out of the drivers is going to be key. This is a bit of a strange one because I thought it was just earlier this year that we voted on increasing the cost cap by 5 million come next season, and now for our final regulation vote of this year we're talking about lowering it once again by 5 million, which would really just keep it the same. I'm in favor of keeping it the same as we come nowhere near reaching the cost cap, though this year we've definitely been a lot closer than in past seasons. This is going to stretch us to our absolute limit, but the factory upgrade is coming. 125 days to get that done, which means it's going to be coming right towards the beginning of next season. It's 10 September now, so it would be, late January when we get that, at least on the early stage of what we're getting for the season. And as we're introducing new parts to next year's car, having that will be key. But it's only going to leave us with a few 100,000 left in the bank for now. And we've got, 2 weeks till our next race. And that's just before the end of September. But we don't have any manufacturing to do. We don't have any new car upgrades coming onto the car anytime soon. So I think we can just about get away with that. And the factory upgrade now on its way. And then after that, it has one level remaining. And then we will have one level each of suspension and car part test center remaining. So we're really getting down to the final upgrades. And 6 teams have voted for it. So, like I said, this went the opposite direction. I think it ended up being a 5-5 vote, being split by the FIA, and they decided to go the other direction with it. This time around, one team has changed their mind. Project I've been working on for multiple years now is I've only been scouting drivers, and I'm finally literally on the last driver being scouted. We have scouted all the way down to the free agents at the very bottom that are in the 30s and have very high potential, of course, but the realistic part is all you really know is what their ratings are, and that they have high growth potential, but it doesn't really differentiate that between anything else. All of the low ones have very high growth potential, but that doesn't mean that they're going to be a 90 overall. It just means they're going to be much higher than what they are right now. And if they're only a 35, could you imagine if we were taking Nazim and Diana, a couple 40s, and putting them in the driver's seat? That would be interesting. That would be an interesting challenge. Next on the calendar is Singapore Marina Bay Street Circuit. A couple years ago, we had the emphatic win where we came from behind late. We had a safety car late on. We put on brand new soft tires and then ran hard and came away with a victory, coming through a handful of cars to get there from, 10th or 11th position, and fought our way through the field. So we had not only recovered our position, which was somewhere around 4, 5, 6, but we came away with a race victory, and it was incredible. Last year, without anything of that nature, we had a very close field. It was very different from what you've seen, but it was a McLaren 1-2 with Mercedes, and then us in 4th, 5th, ahead of the Red Bulls. Let's see if we can finish ahead of the Red Bulls, ahead of the Ferraris again this time around. Even if it's only for P4, P5, that would be significant gains, as we are just 7 points off the constructors' lead here late in the season.
We're here at the Marina Bay Street Circuit, and the Singapore Grand Prix is just about to start. The name Singapore means City of Lions, and this weekend Formula One will be roaring into action. The bumpy street surfaces here make this a challenging circuit for the drivers, and the humidity causes them to lose as much as 3 kilos over the course of a race. But it's also tough on the cars, with 23 corners to tackle each and every lap. Good low-speed downforce will make all the difference here. This is it. We're down to the last few races of the season, and it's time for that final push. Who will be crowned champion at the end of it all? We'll find out soon enough. There's nothing like a race weekend in Formula One.
As mentioned last time, I'm going for the time saving as much as possible for the remainder of this season so that I can still have some episodes for you while I'm gone on vacation. And as a result, I'm skipping practice entirely. But before getting into qualifying, switching the parts out, obviously, the practice parts for the race ones, and then going into the car setup, which isn't coming out great. I mean, I'm getting 60%. 60 to 70% is all we're getting on car setup, and that's leaving us with about a -4 from what our bonuses could be. And our standard is to get 14 and occasionally get 15 and almost never below that. So to get 11 out of 15 in terms of bonuses hurts. But the thing I'm doing is you can go into the car setup and quite clearly see the portions of that setup that are really bad. And just by changing those portions and putting them in the range and keeping the others relatively similar to what they were when they say good or great, unless it's obvious what direction you need to go, keeping them about the same is easily getting me into the mid-80s with literally only a single setup change. And that, as a result, is still getting me to about 13 or 14 on the bonuses anyway. May not be a terrible idea going forward to just keep doing that, because the practice may get you that tiny little extra bonus, but man, oh man, does it take a long time to do. And I'm very quickly seeing, as I'm now on the second race of playing out this method, that it is, for me, a massive time saver, and it is going to allow me to get a lot more recordings of F1 Manager complete. And I'll be honest with you, right now, this is the smallest average audience that I have after 85 episodes. The audience was there, but it's not there anymore, or at least a lot of people are well behind on the series, maybe eventually catching up with it, but for the time being, I need to cut time out, and it's actually working. So I might stick with this long term, because if I can get back to 13, 14 on the bonuses anyway, yeah, that extra little ounce of effort takes way too much time for the risk reward part on that one. I'm liking how this is going so far. Let's get to racing though. Porsche and Doohan starting their banker laps, just coming out ahead of Russell and Stroll, with Norris far enough ahead that we will not be impeded on our lap. Doohan actually going a little bit faster than Porsche for a change. That is a rare sight indeed. Neither car coming in with their best components though. I think we're going to be slightly off the pace here. We're just taking what we get. Probably could be better on pace. I think honestly I was a little too conservative with this one, but it does look like Red Bull's going to be a little bit off the pace because you don't have the long straights here. That could be a good opportunity for us, but we'll see what we do with this race weekend. We'll focus on the weekends to come. I just didn't feel like we were in our best state for this one, and we're trying to set ourselves up for all out in some coming races. Here, track position is a pretty big deal. Qualifying is going to matter. You can see with at least somewhat used components, we're barely inside the top 10. Unfortunately, Verstappen is well up there. So is Leclerc.
We've just had a
Doesn't mimic what they had for practice times. More than half a second ahead of the back five, and Latifi crashing out. I think we're going to just sit on this one, take the risk, and conserve those tires for the race. We are expecting a fully dry race, no expectation of rain, but with a half a second to spare, we should be okay. And as they start coming across, we've already got 2 drivers behind us, 3 if you count Latifi. We only need 2 more to come up short. It's getting close for Porsche, but it is good enough. Doing comfortably with P10. Porsche a little bit closer with not a great first lap. We've got some penalties here as well, quite a few of them. It's going to help move us up the grid order a little bit, but it does seem that our pace is not great. We are a good 6/10 off of the front of the field. Yeah, see, with one little adjustment, we go from low 60s to low mid 80s, and that's going to be enough to get us a bonus of about 14 or maybe 13 out of the 15 possible. And 14 standard, so it's okay. It's perfectly okay. So heading out for the banker lap, this time Doohan gets caught out behind Gasly, but we do get a clean run in as we start the lap. Nobody pulling out in front of us. So Pourchaire and Doohan both coming in very similar on time. Pourchaire does a better one this time ahead of Perez. Perez was held up on his lap. Now, this is the used compound we used from FP1. Not FP1, Q1. And so we will need to use the fresh tires because I don't think we are comfortably in the top 10 without it. Yeah, for now that's P9 and P10. So yes, we do want to use the fresh compound to see out Q2. Hopefully make Q3. Not a given though. It's close. Perez, he'll better his time. Vettel, that might be a representative time because the other Aston Martin is out. So it looks like really only one car is a bit off the pace. Verstappen is fast yet again. It's weird to have to pay this close attention on Q2 to see what's going to happen. But I am nervous about our possibility. Doohan slow in the first sector. Pourchaire fast in the first two. So Pourchaire is improving his time. Doohan is not, and Doohan's already down to P14. Pourchaire, will he see Q3? I don't think Doohan will. Not even Pourchaire. Pourchaire barely improves his time. That's P12, P14. Not the best parts on the car, but these weren't bad components. We're definitely just off the pace here. I think the components are going to account for maybe 2/10, and not more than that. Certainly not a second, as we are nearly a second off the pace.
The time has come to fight it out. It's race day.
Qualifying went well for Williams, as attested by their strong position on the grid. Now it's all about finding that edge for the race itself. We saw a solid qualifying performance from Ferrari, and they're sure to have their chance to push even further during the race.
With penalties, we're going to be just inside the top 10, with Pourchaire from 8th and Doohan from 10th on the starting grid. But with the lack of pace, I think we're going to have to play towards the tail end. We're going to have to play this as if we are outside of the top 10 and be patient. So we're going to go medium soft instead of the other way around. And the preferred strategy, if you're going medium soft, is to wait to pit until somewhere around lap 45, which is going to really see a massive drop off in pace on those mediums, losing nearly 30 seconds before switching to the softs late. So right now we have our own strategy that really doesn't fit any of the molds of the three main strategies in all of those. Getting off the softs a little bit early because of track position, and then going on the mediums too long and being really slow at the end of the race, or going soft to hard so that you can run a bit better, but generally being slower because you're on the hard compound, which is not a great one. But if you go mediums softs, they want you to wait till really late so that you have extra pace at the very end of the race. But like I said, that's a close to 30-second loss. It's about a 25-26 second loss going that way. Spreading out evenly the tire wear is going to keep a much better general pace, being on the two faster compounds, and hopefully we can just about keep up here at the beginning, so that when we are on the softs, we can see ourselves moving forward a bit. We're going to need a strong tactical race if we are going to finish in the points today.
Cloudy skies tonight, with the drivers now having taken position on the grid. Looking now at the Williams. Not as close to the front as they might have wished for, but we know the race order can change a lot during those first few corners. And looking at the second Williams car. With a top 10 position on the grid, This race could really go either way for them. And we're just moments away now. We're just moments away from the Singapore Grand Prix. And it's lights out, and away we go.
And we are racing. We are going to go aggressive only here on the first lap, first few corners. We're going to settle in very quickly because it's going to be really important. If somebody else locks up, it's not us. It's not us. Yellow flag is out. That's an Alfa Romeo, and multiple cars have crashed. So somebody got into the back. Looks like an Alfa Tauri was collected in that.
Cars, I think. Let's have a look. Now look at this.
Can't even really see where Alfa Tauri getting into the back. Nope.
You can clearly see
Alfa
the
Tauri,
contact there,
Alfa
and
Romeo
that
coming
caused
together
a lot of damage.
to fight over the Alphas. Magnussen picks up the penalty in the Alfa Romeo, so apparently he had a little bit of a lockup, and as he came through the apex, kind of went straight on. Hit the Alfa Tauri, I suppose. They're at turn number 1, knocking those two back down the grid, but we are P8 and P10, and I think that's where we need to just settle in.
Increase.
We are where we are. Here is not the track that you want to abuse the tires. Be patient. And, for the sake of getting multiple recordings in, be fast. Here we go. Verstappen leads from Leclerc. Unfortunately, you've got both the Red Bulls and the Ferraris in much better shape. Show and Magnussen well off the pace. And it is... Doohan is not. Doohan is off the pace. So Doohan is the beginning of train number 3. The second train starts with Sainz in P5, and Pourchaire is keeping up with that one. But Doohan's pace is not good enough. He does not have DRS, and he has been overtaken by Albon now in P11.
For Alfa Romeo.
Still at 1.6. Now we're seeing 1.5 after 2 laps. And the first guys on the pits, Leclerc, Russell, go into the hards. Looks like Verstappen and Ricciardo are going to go to the hards. That's a hard one. That's a difficult one to do. And most everybody's going for it. Nope, here's the mediums group just 2 laps later already. And all of them have pit now. So we are in P1 and P2 for the time being with Pourchaire well ahead. And Doohan is going to be trying to hold up Ocon and Stroll. But can we get some guys out front? Verstappen and Perez on the mediums are probably going to pull away. Let's slow it down for a little bit and kind of see where everybody is. So you got Pourchaire, and then Doohan with Stroll and Ocon, who have yet to pit. Then Tsunoda, who has yet to pit. And if Tsunoda can hold up Verstappen, multiple cars have crashed. No safety car. Just local yellow. Please be local yellow. Please be local yellow. We could pit and put on the hards. And come out in a strong position and go to the end of the race. But that is if... Come on, make a decision. The pit road's right there, but it's still just saying local yellow. Let's find out. Schumacher, Latifi's at 0%. Schumacher's continuing on. Latifi looks to be continuing on. Yes, he is. Okay, both cars are continuing on, so I don't see... Latifi's got a puncture.
We can take a look now.
But he is not out of the race. Therefore, we should not have a safety car. Lock up in from behind. And yeah, both cars just sideways in and able to continue. Yeah, Latifi's just driving slow, but he's able to continue. So it's local yellow, and that's it. In fact, the yellow is cleared up. All right. Dodged a bullet there. Safety car. Well, safety car would have meant let's go to the hards, but the window for us getting into the pits to do that was disintegrating real quick there. Pourchaire's coming up on Latifi already. Verstappen has already gotten around Tsunoda, but if Tsunoda can, hold up some of these guys anyway, this could really make our race. Really make our race. Because if we're faster than Sonoda and he's holding cars up, Perez has got around Sonoda now, so how's those gaps looking? Verstappen pulling away, Perez is starting to pull away, and Sonoda holding these guys up. But again, the more cars he can hold up, the slower he can make them, the better it is for our race. Down to 1.3 on the fuel. We were at 1.6 10 laps ago, so we're gaining 0.3 every 10 laps. So we'll gain about a kilogram the rest of the way, so we won't have to lift a coast much. And a VSC or a safety car can really cover that off pretty quick. That last little bit. Yes, low fuel range. I know. Okay, we're going to fall below that 60% threshold here pretty soon and start to lose some pace. So the time is coming on that one. Ricardo has made it around Sonoda. And he's starting to pull away a little bit. And Verstappen has now caught Stroll and Ocon, so they are now holding him up. And again, giving us a little bit more of a chance, a little bit more of a window. Porsche now at 59%. Means realistically, as he's got a gap over Ocon. I had him set to pit 2 laps earlier than Porsche and just kind of seeing how things are going. Tire wear has been a little bit better. I think we're going to want to make that 4 laps. So we'll wait 1 more lap and start to push a little bit more with doing. Try to pull away from Ocon and Stroll a little bit as they hold up some of these guys. But in terms of gap to leader, this is about where we'd be coming out at. Definitely ahead of Albon, but and if the gaps are holding, if the gaps are relatively the same now as they will be later, might as well take that opportunity. Because, yeah, these guys are only 17 seconds down. There's no way we're coming out ahead of them. They've been closing up towards the back end of, well, Ocon, really. So ignore. Going to come out behind all of it anyway. Just come out a little bit later. We're going to stretch. Pit time loss is supposed to be 29 seconds, which means we are falling into that point where we might be coming out behind Albon and have to overtake him. Albon is on 74% mediums. 74% mediums, huh? I think Doohan's going to end up coming in. I don't think it's that's never been accurate, the time loss, the 29 seconds. It's never quite that much. It's always a bit less from what I've seen. But I do think we're going to need to pit here soon. So let's go aggressive. Both. Let's go aggressive on both.
With the tires.
Copy.
We have enough of a gap between us, we could double stack when we decide it's time. By the way, fuel's at 1.1. So over the last, 9 laps, we gained 0.2? No. Yeah, that's about right. So there will have to be a small amount of lift and coast at some point. But we are pulling away from Stroll and Ocon. Doohan was 3 seconds ahead, now he's 5 seconds ahead. We were 9 seconds ahead, now we're 11 seconds ahead. So both of them are pulling away relatively quick. And we do want, I think we're just going to stretch to that 48%. We're going to stretch that 48% down to 40. So the lap that is apparent that we're going to be falling below 40, that's the time to pit. And hopefully Stroll and Ocon stretch even further, because it's going to allow us to close up, because you can see a lot of that field has really closed up on those guys that are not progressing quickly, and we're going to be much faster. So if we can have a few laps of gains, we can really cut into that gap before those two peel off. Both guys pitting. We've opened up a 14-second gap on those chasers, but we are still ultimately going to come out behind a big group of cars. It'd be really nice if we can come out ahead of Albon, but at 22 seconds, I'm not counting on it. But I hope that we're at least ahead of Vettel. It's going to knock us down the order quite a bit, but Porsche peels off, heads down pit road. There we go, moment of truth. Softs, 21 laps. 21 laps to go. 2.6, not a very good stop there, but 2.4 for Doohan. And we are going to come back out behind Vettel. Right behind Vettel.
And a new position.
A little
just
short there,
gained
but
by
you come
Williams.
in out of, what, turn 4? And then you've got a good opportunity. We get to the inside, and DRS, and there's an overtake done. Okay, neutral. Back to standard. And we will watch with Doohan. Doohan has
There's
gotten
an
around
overtake
Norris.
from Williams.
So they've both already made up a position. But P13, P15. Long ways to go. Long ways to go. Perez has made it around Stroll finally. He's going to start to pull away. Perez has made it through. All right, we have 4 seconds on Doohan to make up some ground, and Porsche has already caught up. We have already caught up.
Fastest lap.
New fastest lap. 139 flat. And we're just 6 seconds off the race lead. We were 10 seconds off just 2 laps ago. So we've gained 4 seconds on everybody else. That's how much faster we are. But from here, overtakes are going to be difficult. Oh, there is a gap. Sonoda is a couple seconds back, so there is a little bit of a second train forming here. Is Sonoda still on the mediums? Oh, yes, he is. 40%. Going long. And we know where to make our overtakes. So next lap, we're going to set ourselves up again to have another go. Saving those tires as long as you can. Saving that battery for the right area. Doohan, meanwhile, is closing up here pretty quickly as well. He's still got to get around Vettel, though. And we've seen that the fresh softs are capable of making overtakes on their own. Too short of a straight here. Okay, now's the time. So we want to go aggressive. Set up overtake. Doohan, aggressive. Set up overtake. He's got to get around Vettel as well. Well, he's not behind Vettel yet.
Need to push.
He's not behind Vettel yet. Standard. Neutral. But here we go. Porsche gets around Albon. And that's Sainz ahead of us next. We've got to finish this move and do. That's one position. Eight seconds down for Porsche. They are dropping. Perez is pulling away. He's 2.2 seconds ahead. I think Perez is going to go off and win this thing. But we're actually still in a fight for P2 potentially. As we challenge, can we get up beside?
So heads down.
Can we properly get up beside? And can we overtake here? That's how far off the pace everybody is. We get around Sainz. Yes, we do.
Keep doing.
We've got the straight coming up. Can we get a run and keep going? We get up the inside of the Alpine.
Good job.
And Doohan gets around Vettel. And Stroll is into the pits. That's going to start clearing things up. These guys are going to start running faster. Ahead of us is Sonoda. Sonoda way off the pace. We're going to keep pushing and get around Sonoda and get into some clean air. Sonoda is only a second back on Russell, but we're going to make progress again. We are up the inside and should have it and do have it. Back to neutral. Plenty of battery. That's good. And standard. And that's P8 into the points already. So do it. Now.
there's
P13.
an overtake
I
from
needed to have him
Williams.
go as well, but we have caught up to the back end of this thing. So Pourchaire into clean air and already catching Russell. Already catching Russell. So we're going to need both guys in that turn 3 spot to... Or what is it? That's 1, 2, 3. It's 4 or 5. It's turn 4 or 5, but it's around turn 3 where we kind of want to set that up and go aggressive and try to make progress again. As Dewin getting up the inside of Albin. Cher getting up beside, I think. Oh no, he got squeezed out. He got squeezed out. He's on to the next train. Dewin's up to P11 meanwhile. All over the back of signs. Let's keep them both on it for now. But that's wasting battery and not really properly overtaking. Also, we're not properly saving fuel right now as we're going more aggressive. So as we get into clean air, we are going to have to do something. But with those guys out of the way, field is starting to open and stretch out a little bit. Perez is 3.7 ahead of Verstappen, who is 2.3 ahead of Leclerc, and Ocon goes into the pits, and the battery just went empty. Just like that. As we get up, both of us, Dewin has caught up. Dewin has closed that gap. So go neutral. As we do finally get around Russell, so we are into P6. P6 now.
You're doing good.
Overtake on, overtake on. I think you've got Russell here.
To use the overtake.
3 wide. 3 wide.
That's great job. Great job.
3 wide and P4.
Look at reducing
balanced.
the lift and core.
Back to balanced. Back to standard. Harvest as we try to catch up to Leclerc ahead. But all the way up to P4 already. Waiting till late to pit has paid off. It has paid off. Dewin meanwhile is up to P7. And we are slowly recharging battery, and we're gonna have to lift and go here soon as Dewin goes up in through, goes through to P6. Standard for him, harvest for him as well. Meanwhile with Pourchaire, we've not managed to save any battery as of yet. But this has already worked out better than expected. Ferrari set to score a lot of points. They're at 10 and 6 right now. They're at 16. Verstappen with 8 points. Sainz with nothing. But meanwhile, we are struggling behind a little bit at, what, 5 and 3? So 8 points on the day. Right now we're set to match Red Bull. But if we can get around Leclerc, that already changes the points system a fair bit. And Pourchaire has definitely caught him. I think we're, for now, are going to stay on harvest, but as we come forward, we're going to set overtake and try to be aggressive here at the happy zone and try to go for the overtake there and see if we can't get around Leclerc. It's lap 47, by the way. And I have to cover fuel soon. Okay, we are watching with Pourchaire as he gets up beside Leclerc. Up beside Leclerc and into P3. Back to neutral. Back to standard. And then Dewin has got himself in good battery situation, so go ahead and just turn that down and work on closing up on Leclerc. So he's up to P5. He was P6 a moment ago, was he not? So we're up to P3, P5 now. So already we've improved our points. Ferrari's still set to outscore us, but we are now set to outscore Red Bull. And we've already caught Verstappen. We have caught Verstappen. That was where you want to make the overtake. It's a little late. Can we get up beside him? We do get up beside him and we get ahead. Neutral. Standard. And that is P2. And we are going to have to lift and coast, but we might have a chance at this race. 3 seconds behind Perez. 3 seconds. Take care of the fuel now. Take care of the fuel now. Save it for the final laps on what we can do there. So saving fuel for Pourchaire Meanwhile, Doohan was a little bit further behind on that and a little bit further behind positionally. So he's got some ground to cover. But he does have DRS, and he's well ahead of Bottas at 3.8. So front five have clearly pulled away, and we are closing right up on these guys. And we'll have the overtake here. And we've got to run. We've got to run, but Leclerc overtakes Verstappen. So Red Bull could really be missing out today. And we are up beside the Red Bull now. And we've got one position. Got one position. Go back to standard.
And a new position.
Meanwhile,
Just
Porsche is
gained
at
by
0.9.
Williams.
That's not gaining as fast as I thought it would. But he still pulled back a second on Perez, even with the lift and coast. Even with lift and coast, he's gained a second. Okay, coming up on the area. Coming up on the area to look for the overtake. Let's start going aggressive. Plenty of battery to make that overtake. Porsche, I think, can challenge Perez still. Here we go. Into P3. Doohan, I'm not sure. Not sure. Okay. Time for him to conserve. We're at 0.7. Wow. 1.5 back. P2, 3. Now, things are starting to change. Ferrari. Well, let's start with Red Bull. Sainz is not in the points, and Verstappen down at P5 is 4 points. Just 4 points for Red Bull. Ferrari, though, 10 and 5. They're at 15. They are at 15 right now. And we are up to 14. It's lap 52. Now our time to overtake is not going to last much longer. So let's go balanced. Doohan, though, from behind, continue to conserve. You're a little bit further off on that. We need to close up on Perez. We're going to get DRS now again, as we weren't getting DRS there for a little while. But this will close us up. We need to make the overtake while we still have the tire life. We're going to make the overtake without even making... Wow, okay, we got it. Into the race lead. Into the race lead, and at 0.5, Doohan. Doohan needs to make his overtake sooner rather than later. So, and we've done it. We've done it. Yes, we have. Back to conserve. All right, now we just need to get the fuel right in the remaining laps and then hold these guys off. P1, P2, folks. Holy cow, we have made it work. We have made it work. This was unexpected. The two Ferraris are now P3 and P4. We are set to score 18 points with a potential back-to-back 1-2 finish. Pulling away already from Perez. He is more than a second down. He will not have DRS. He does not get it. He does not get DRS. So we are pulling away effectively. And now it's just a matter of making it to the race end. It's lap 54. Doohan. So now Ferrari is set to score 11 points where we're scoring 18. That is a gain of 7. Our deficit to them was 6, I believe. Our deficit to Red Bull is 7. So we will have a 1-point advantage over Ferrari as things stand. Meanwhile, with Verstappen only picking up, what was that, 5 points? No, 4. Only 4. And we're gaining 18. That means we will gain 14 points over the Red Bulls. Now, I knew that this strategy was going to be a better strategy for us, but I also knew that overtakes were going to be difficult. The later we waited, the better. Having Ocon and Vettel, I think it was. No, Stroll. Having those guys behind us on the same strategy, but waiting a little bit later. Oh, that was so good for us, though. I mean, that was so good. It really gave us an opportunity to close gaps on the brand new tires rapidly.
DRS is currently disabled.
Safety car!
Okay, so
Not
safety
pitting.
car.
No way.
Positive
We're
on the
past
data.
pit road anyway, as it is. No way we are pitting, but you would imagine some cars will pit. Let's watch these guys back here. Ignore for now. How many
there's a
cars
big
dive
crash.
off into the pits? A late safety car.
There's been a crash.
Magnussen
Sounds like
is
a single
out.
car.
Did he
Here's the
crash by
replay.
himself?
Now let's watch this.
I think we're going green this lap probably. Yes, we are.
Safety car will be in this lap.
It's lap 59. We'll have 2 laps. 2 laps. And we have plenty of fuel to turn the engine up. And starts to challenge Pourchaire. Doohan did not get a very good start. Pourchaire was all over the back of him. Will the grid order change a little bit? Can Ricciardo make some progress? Will Verstappen make some progress? It's clear that we are making some progress as we are more than a second ahead of Leclerc already. Final lap, folks. Final lap. Little safety car scare here at the end, but nobody pit, so it's not impacting our race. We just go right back into pulling away from everyone. Fuel is good. The tires held up just fine as they just fall below 60% on the final lap. No change in the order. Race order stays the same. And we've got just a couple of corners left to go. And Jack Doohan, is this his first race win? I think it is. May not be, but I think that's Doohan's first ever race win, with Pourchaire finishing in P2. Doohan, with DRS, overtook his teammate. Pourchaire had his opportunities,
Flag.
didn't get him back. A 1-2 finish, though, is huge. And we're going to move into the Constructors' lead. Also, Pourchaire picking up 8 points today. Is that Drivers' Championship lead for him as well territory? Maybe not. Verstappen is picking up some points. I think Verstappen's going to still be just ahead. Had Pourchaire won the race, I think he would be taking over the Drivers' Championship lead. It might happen this season, folks. It might happen this season after all. Pourchaire equal on points with Verstappen, and with 6 wins he has the tiebreaker. Verstappen just 4 this season, so Pourchaire has moved into the Drivers' Championship lead. Now we do have to maybe think about team orders in the future, as Jack Doohan has picked up his first race victory. Now that he has it, we have to start thinking about the Drivers' Championship and the Constructors' Championship the rest of the way. And we are 1 point ahead of Ferrari. And from well behind in just 2 races, we have flipped the script and gone from 3rd to 1st. And Red Bull, who had just moved 1 point ahead of Ferrari last time, find themselves now in 3rd place in the Constructors' Championship. Mind blown. Completely unexpected turnaround of events, and a couple races in a row without mistakes from our drivers has seen them turn things around real fast. That is going to do it for this episode, though. Smash that like button. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there, and bye for now.